sounds cool, but it's actually NCS music, if you can believe it or not. You know what? I've had that downloaded for a certain amount of time now. Why don't we just say what it is? That's Facading's Take It Down NCS release. Yeah, I almost said remix. That's Facading's Take It Down, the NCS release, in instrumental form. One of the new things that NCS allows is you can actually download NCS music as instrumentals, which if you aren't fond of the lyrics or the vocal stuff or whatever, then you basically can, get an instrumental version instead. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of pop fluff and stuff. Let's just actually play the regular version of it, also from No Copyright Sounds. Let's just cue that. I don't get it. Obviously looped. So even with the vocals, it just adds some looped stuff. So, I mean, I think that most of what I like about the song is actually the beat and the instruments. And if it sounds more 80s-ish than dubsteppy, cause I'm old, I'll tend to like it more. What is up, everybody? This is Jay, aka MultimediaJay. Welcome, Dono Baited as well in the chat. The perusing some NCS music from NCS.io, the new platform for NCS music, and it actually has some pretty cool stuff to it. It has some pretty cool stuff where you can download things in instrumental form. So one of the things I want to do is, you're supposed to give credit to the artist, but I still have Annie Yvette's Redline, AU5's Interstellar. I still have stuff with vocals in here, so if I wanted to load these up in my heavily modified Winamp to show on the screen to credit the artists, I'd have to get this NCS folder down to just music, just instrumentals. So, but I really like how they've improved all of that. So, title of the stream. So, YouTube's working on an answer to Twitch Prime. So, most of what I'm doing these days is going to be on YouTube, including streaming, because of the lack of an emphasis on concurrence. However, one of the things that I will be doing is special events and reacts and stuff on Twitch. And the reason being is due to the lack of, Twitch doesn't have a lot of automated systems. As a matter of fact, the muting system for the VODs is licensed out from Audible Magic. Knowing what I know about technology, computers, and technology as a work in progress, one of the problems, that's a little too far over, one of the problems with automated systems, suave hand sanitizer, proof that it's the pandemic. It's kind of like Anheuser-Busch water after a natural disaster. One of those rare product combinations that comes along. Off the tangents now, please. So, now it's too far over the other side. Whatever. I don't want to show too much of the microphone stand. Okay, you know what? This is stupid. Over here? No. I'd have to be over here in order to... Well, what's a nerd like me to do in his old age? Yeah, okay, at least it focuses properly, unlike the last camera where if I did that, it would be out of focus for the entire rest of the stream. The Logitech is over there somewhere, I think. You know what? We don't need to advertise the hand sanitizer. There. It's called framing your shot. Matter of fact, we're missing a light. Turn on the plant light. Looks a little too ice blue back there because... Thank you.
Glad you found me helpful. Let me know if there's anything I can do.
What you can do is shut up when I'm trying to stream and not give me those special responses. Dumb speaker, AI, whatever. So here's the situation. So what's this fat nerd gonna be doing tonight? So one of the differences between Twitch and YouTube is automated systems or lack thereof. I know from various platforms' attempts to make new automated systems work properly, they are very often works in progress. So it's possible to get false positives and things like that. So any React stuff I don't react to a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to react to random stuff either. I especially won't react to stuff that is like a music video of commercial music or anything like that. But with what I do react to, I think that Twitch would probably be a better place for that at this point, because I don't want to be Mr. React guy. Never really been the biggest fan in the world of React content. So last night's reaction to Devin Nash's video about Twitch affiliates was a rare event, therefore special event, therefore non-gaming content that will still be on the Twitch channel. Something more common that I react to, though, is YouTube's Creator Insider videos, which is basically folks from YouTube talking about what's going on with YouTube as a platform, videos, streaming, or whatever else YouTube happens to be up to. They, several months ago, had a discussion between various engineers and other folks who work on the live team, which helped with the release of Live Control Room, the upgrade to YouTube streaming this year. And now the newest Creator Insider video, I watch a bunch of these, and it's only rarely that I feel like reacting to them. This is one of those times. Connor, one of the regular hosts on that series nowadays, basically delivered some news that YouTube is working on an answer to Twitch Prime. Yes. So for those people that think, and it's not like YouTube is unaware of Twitch's robust features when it comes to streaming in terms of what their roadmap is for becoming a robust streaming platform themselves. It's not that YouTube is completely unaware of this stuff. They know what has worked for Twitch and what could be adapted into YouTube, just as YouTube has adapted a video platform to add a very valid and very decent live streaming component to it. So with all of this in mind, they were already a couple of months ago talking about a raids feature. Now, I don't know how fast the development is on these features on YouTube, because the applause feature, which would allow people to dono to videos, much like they do streams, if they want to support creators directly, has been in beta since February. So who knows when any of this will ever come out. But it'd be good if it did, because that's what YouTube needs to be more competitive, is feature parity versus Twitch. And in the other direction, if Twitch wants to be more competitive with YouTube and Facebook, they need feature parity on the non-streaming side of things, as well as administrative systems like Content ID versus DMCA and what have you. So it's all about competition. It's all about feature parity. And when there's a good idea somewhere, the other players in the industry have to figure out what they're going to do about it. And the wrong answer is nothing. So, speaking of DMCA, I have preemptively banned somebody from my YouTube channels. Nobody that's in the chat right now. I've never actually had any interactions with this person and probably never will in either direction. I don't watch their stuff. They don't watch my stuff. However, I found out through Twitter that they abused the DMCA to silence criticism of one of their YouTube videos. So I don't care if I've never even met someone before. They're banned if I find out that they're the kind of person that would abuse federal law. I mean, DMCA, I mentioned earlier that DMCA on YouTube has devolved to, most of the time it's used to abuse the DMCA, to silence criticism and things like that, so-called copy striking, as some people call it. And it's true, this is the latest example. I don't think I've heard about a real DMCA claim from like a music company on YouTube in a very long time. Corporations and businesses and companies are more likely to use the Content ID system, but for individuals, unfortunately, this is a shortcoming of YouTube, actually. For individuals, even though as a YouTube partner, you have access to the copyright system to DMCA people when the systems detect that your content is being used on other people's channels, there is no immediate access to Content ID or the ability to pick a response other than DMCA. So if you're making videos about individuals, you're more likely to get DMCA'd, as opposed to videos about businesses and corporations where you're more likely to get Content ID'd. None of this is in stone, of course. People can do whatever they want, whether it makes sense or not. But it's interesting how YouTube has evolved to be the polar opposite of Twitch in this respect. People on Twitch are worried about getting DMCA'd by a collective entity like the RIAA, but yet on YouTube, your biggest DMCA concern is individuals who may not like what you have to say. So it's bizarre how this technology in its current state on YouTube has led to essentially the inverse of what Twitch streamers are worried about. So, there'll be a policy applied There'll be a policy applied if you have a content ID match with a record company because some commercial music made it into your stream or whatever, if you're IRL streaming. But you have options. You can mute, edit out, you can try and remove the song with the bitrate degrader, and now there's a thing where you can bring in YouTube audio library songs at specific cue points. And this is actually something that made it into the video. My question with this is, well, how precise has the volume control gotten? We tried using this earlier and couldn't get the volume low enough. I can tell you as somebody who regularly makes YouTube videos that my background music is usually at 7% to 15% volume. And that is with it basically volume leveled, so that first it gets dynamic range compressed, so you can hear just the music, but you lose the dynamic range completely because you're going to be playing it at a low level. So it gets compressed, so I like to compress, and I also like to keep the volume level around 7 to 15% of the total volume so that the background audio, well, stays in the background. But what you have with YouTube and Creator Studio is a wet-dry slider bar in terms of how much of the original audio versus, it's like a fader, kind of like left, right, or front, back in a car or something. It's a fader between the original audio and the song. But my question is, how precise is it? Can I get the equivalent of 7% to 15% volume from this other thing? Can I get that? That's the question that I have with regards to all of this. So anyways, let's take a look at the video, but also just mention that this thing I've done where I've preemptively banned somebody from my YouTube channel who probably will never interact with me. It's part of, I think also one of the effects of this is that they're blacklisted in the algorithm, so I'll never see any of their videos recommended to me ever again. So that it basically eliminates a step in me having nothing to do with that person. So it's a large creator too. Mega large creator. So not going to publicize them or anything like that, but this is just an example of the kind of quiet cloak and dagger response to you abusing systems like this that can happen, even if officially you seem to get away with it. When you wonder why your channel growth seems to be hampered, it might be something you did that other people reacted adversely to and just decided not to show it. Remember, anybody who actually is upset with you or complains about you or even makes a video about you, like I'm sort of doing but not mentioning this person, anybody who has aught with you, so to speak, the people that you actually know you upset are the low-hanging fruit. Everybody has a right to their opinion, and one of those opinions is the opinion about you. So if they decide that you're a crappy person that they don't want to associate with, it's totally their choice. And this is what you have to keep in mind when you decide to get aggressive with things like DMCA against people doing fair use commentaries of your YouTube videos. Fair use, yes, in the court system is nebulous, and a judge would have to listen to the arguments of both sides to determine it. It's not something that's automatic, that just because you reacted to somebody's content that it's fair use. Legally, it's a big gray area. Even non-lawyers like me will tell you that. But in the case of despite whatever the official thing is, that it would have to go to court, to get resolved, it's not automatically a fair use defense when there's DMCA involved. Despite all of that, people can still think of you whatever they want, and that will affect your channel. That will affect who your fan base is. That will affect who your audience is. So it's something to keep in mind. And it's a reason why you want to respect other creators and try to dialogue with them instead of doing stuff like this. Because you don't know who's going to decide that you're not worth associating with, who may have nothing to do with the situation, as I do. I have nothing to do with what I read about and made this decision on. But I believe strongly enough in respecting people's rights to an opinion that if you abuse the DMCA, even if it's a shortcoming on YouTube's part, that YouTube partners can see when their content is being used elsewhere, but they can't do anything but strike it. Deficiency on YouTube's part, by the way. We should have the same options as Content ID people. We should be able to monetize, block, track, all kinds of other stuff. And the system should be something that can be enforced internally within YouTube without requiring the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So, kind of a weakness on YouTube's part And it's strange that it has inverted the situation. But I would love to see something like this, where creators had more options and they weren't doing this all the time. So that way it wouldn't require DMCA or anything of that sort. And you would know even more that anybody who actually does DMCA you is either right or they're malicious. Because that's the real issue with this whole situation with this person, is that, yeah, it could be fair use commentary, which is wrong. It could be fair use commentary, which is absolutely wrong. And what that does is it tells me that this person is a malicious individual who can't take criticism, despite being a big YouTuber. So this tells me this is somebody I don't want to associate with. There are certain kinds of personalities that are an instant no with me. And that's basically one of my giveaways. If they are a large influencer and a much smaller influencer criticizing them intimidates them to where they DMCA them, that's an instant I want nothing to do with that person. Not just because they could DMCA me too, but they're just not a good person to be around if they can't handle dialogue. It's also anti-platform as well. YouTube was built essentially as video social media in the 2000s. There used to be a lot more interaction between creators with each other, YouTubers as it were. People talk about each other's videos openly. They might even show clips and stuff of other people's videos and do what's essentially a fair use commentary. There were video responses even. Nowadays, we've made it to where collabing is something special. It used to be a normal thing to talk about and to other YouTubers. So all of this antagonism towards literally every other creator out there, as if you're the only content creator in the world, is a Johnny-come-lately attitude. Now, I'll tell you on the Twitch side of things, when I run into Twitch streamers who absolutely bristle at the idea that someone else out there might be a content creator besides me. What? How is that possible? No self-promotion. This is my community. Do not talk about anyone else ever. Or something like that. If you even hint at having that kind of an attitude, the answer is it's an instant I don't like you as much, because there are going to be other people out there doing this stuff. You just have to know what to do and how to interact with them and be civil, for Pete's sake. There's certainly plenty of people in this world who aren't. So I know it's yet another thing that makes me feel old, because I remember when YouTube and the culture it built was very different than what we have today in people's Twitch channels, their Discords, anywhere they can feel like they're, king or queen nothing of their own little fiefdom on the internet. Give me a break. So, yeah, anyways. Speaking of goofball personalities, another thing, by the way, that's an instant turn away, and this is one of the reasons why there are some commentators I don't associate with as much, is any amount of narcissism, because I know it can be destructive to other people. But the one form of narcissism that really gets me to just blow someone off and not bother with them as much as I possibly can is covert narcissism. I don't know how many of you folks are familiar with the various types of narcissism out there, but not every narcissist is the stereotypical stuck-up person who thinks their crap doesn't stink. There are some folks out there that are narcissistic, but they're dark and brooding. Basically, the 90s crybaby fads on steroids. Think grunge, nu metal, angry, I'm victimized, I'm a professional victim, blah, 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 blah. Crank that up to 11. And throw in a feeling of grandiosity, but not in the sense of I'm better than other people, but in the sense of I think other people don't realize just how great I am. And that's when you have covert narcissism on your hands. There was a very destructive individual at the 9-to-5 before I left my last tech job. It was the biggest reason why I left. And the biggest reason why I was so worked up when I left, because I'd never met somebody so cloak and dagger and so vengeful and dark and brooding in any position of leadership or anywhere on a team anywhere else. So when I found out what the various types of narcissism were, particularly covert narcissism, even though we got along well in the office because this person never had a reason to backstab me like they did so many others, even though we got along really well in the office and worked together on so much stuff, once I found out what covert narcissism was and found out this person's behavior was an exact match, no contact, blocked on Facebook, gone. So I just vanished. Recently, after about a year, 2 years or so, I decided to unblock them on Facebook. Sure enough, they didn't come back and say, hey, what happened? They didn't even acknowledge that any of that happened. Maybe they didn't even notice, and I don't care if they don't. I don't want to associate with them either way. But I start seeing their posts again in more public things and things like that, and I see them, they hate masks, they're denying the pandemic, they have the same toxic attitudes that have led to 250,000 people dying of this virus in this country. So I'm like, oh, why am I 100% not surprised that they're antagonistic like that, and they believe all the false doctrine, if you will, that is anti-science, the world's out to get me, conspiracy theory garbage, that kind of stuff. Why am I not surprised that they're that kind of basket case? It's sad, you know. The world is a smaller place than you think, people. And you'll know that you've gotten some experience in life when you encounter two people with very similar personalities and you know to blow off one because of what happened with the other. And covert narcissism is the sort of thing where if I see signs of it in somebody who's like a YouTube personality or some kind of commentator, I don't associate with that commentator because I know these people are inherently unpredictable, maybe a little unstable. They might do something bad to you even if you don't do anything bad to them. It's just the way, it's just part of playing the chess game of dealing with people. So what the heck's the point of all this? The point of all this is, be decent to other people, because you don't know what the effects are of whatever squabble you have with somebody. Like in the case of this DMCA, it's the latest DMCA that I've seen that is not an actual legit DMCA. It's somebody with fair use commentary, plain as day, and it is one of the cases where you don't see DMCA have the same thing on YouTube that you see it having right now on Twitch with all these people that are nervous about streaming or trying to do something and just crossing their fingers, hoping they don't. That's not the right way to do that on camera. There we go. Crossing your fingers. I don't want to look like I'm shooting a bird to my audience here. They cross their fingers hoping they don't get a copyright strike because something's playing over the PA in some place they're going to or whatever. Or, well, maybe if I play this song on my horrible smartphone speaker, it won't be high enough quality to get da-da-da-da. Yeah. Different world. Different world. Absolutely. Different world. Okay. Let's queue up React mode, which is going to be a duplicate of debate mode. So here's debate mode from last time. It's looking for a Firefox window, which I have minimized. So one of the things that I did with debate mode, with this whole Devin Nash thing, Devin Nash does React content. So a lot of what he shows in his videos is web browser, articles, things like that. But in the case of YouTube, a lot of times they use the full frame to just talk to the audience. So it really renders debate mode useless. I've used it for YouTube Creator Insider videos before, and then some key element of something on the screen, like they show a slide or something, doesn't get shown correctly. So as part of the tech tinkering part of what it is that I do in these shows, we're going to duplicate debate mode, and we're going to call it React mode for any kind of reaction type stuff that I want to do. Probably going to accidentally click the closer thing by mistake in order to move it over. Yeah, it's OBS stuff. So we've got React mode in here. So now what we'll do is we're going to shrink down to about this, probably, but don't put it up against the border, and then have see if we can get Firefox to fit in here. So it's looking for Firefox right now. So let's just bring this up and let's leave it full screen. See if it showed up automatically in OBS. Yeah, we do. We got a smudge. This is from debate mode. This is from running debate mode with Devin Nash's video last night. So let's make this really small and let's uncrop it. When this is correct, we will see Connor with his mouth open going, oh, because he started his video. Mid word. You should never do that, because then you get cued like this and it was like, oh. So let's go full screen with Firefox, and then let's get it to just the video. I already liked this video because it's cool. Let's get it to just the video. down to about here or so. So this is actually, yeah, this will work. We'll crop this to just the YouTube video, but show the frame minus the progress bar and things like that. And then we'll just do this. Can I click that? There we go. Put this over here somewhere and then resize, or maybe just do this like box thingy or something. Or let's see. Should I do this and be bigger? Or just do this and be kind of like a box off in the corner? Yeah, I want to have a setup like this for reactions and stuff like that. How about we just get this even smaller? I mean, who cares about... There we go. We could always just do this. But the point is to show the frame. The point here is to show the frame. We want to show the frame of what it is that we're responding to. Maybe like this, perhaps? Well, that just looks stupid. How about like this? No. And then put this up in the corner. And there. I think this will be decent enough. So what we have here is we can show the full frame. If they show a PowerPoint slide, take it just a little bit higher on the down there for that part. If we bring it just a little bit higher, then reset. What this is going to show the full frame. If they show a PowerPoint slide or something like that as part of their video, then we don't miss any of the visual data in that case without actually making it full screen and making it just, look lazy like that. So I've seen people that do React content, and what they do is they just put themselves in the corner, and it's not that different from just watching what they're reacting to in the first place. You really should put a little more effort into making things a little more original if you're going to do this kind of stuff. Cold ones. All right. Experiments new analytics in YouTube Studio and answering your questions from YouTube Creator Insider, November 17th, 2020. This came out just a couple of days ago. This is Connor, one of the recurring hosts, and a mellow, chill individual is pretty good at explaining what's going on at YouTube. So, somewhere in this discussion is the indication that YouTube is working on a YouTube answer to Twitch Prime. Let's take a look.
All right, creators, official updates from the creators of YouTube to YouTube creators. Let's get into this week's news flash. First,
and we're gonna have problems with pausing again. If this was debate mode, I'd crop it down to just the shoulders and stuff, but in case he shows like a slide or something, it won't look stupid. That's why I'm making React mode in addition to debate mode, because these folks use the full frame, unlike, say, someone like Devin Nash, who puts himself down in the corner because it's basically a live stream.
First up, let's talk video traffic sources. Now, Video Analytics has added a new part in the overview.
I gotta find that. So how viewers found this video. So this would be interesting to see, again, the diamond of people in technology. How much of the people coming to your video is related to people, and how much of the people coming to your video is related to technology, because search engine algorithms can be pretty robust these days. I do have a video, Forza Horizon 4 with no graphics card, that is going viral right now. The ad block ratio is one of the worst, but it's getting passed around so much that basically the people are overriding the technology. So the algorithms are absolutely not serving it impressions. People are just passing it around. It's the biggest anomaly in my YouTube analytics right now. But people can override technology. If there's a will, there's a way. And it's just bizarre that me laughing at running Forza on Monolith with Skylake integrated graphics at 20 frames per second is as popular as it has been the last couple of months. It's the internet. You never know.
That is going to show you where viewers are finding your video. They're also going to highlight what's underperforming and what's overperforming. Now,
hold up, back that up.
Also going to highlight what's...
Oh, I just didn't notice that. Yeah, check this out. Click.
Under...
No, don't click. Just, you have to click the window in OBS that's highlighted in order to get your mouse pointer back, in order to point at stuff. And I have a huge mouse pointer because I have a big TV, so it's easy to lose it if it's the regular size. Not that, I need glasses. I don't need glasses for the computer. Mine are just for distance. So, and I'm far enough away that I don't need reading glasses for the computer yet. Anyways, all right. So in this case, you have notifications doing better than the sub-feed, YouTube's own systems, etc. I just hope this doesn't turn into, the algorithms sucked at promoting my video.
Performing and what's overperforming. Now, small print. If you see a dash or no indicators in terms of your performance, that's an indicator that we do not have enough historic data from that traffic source.
Well, that's part of... Oops. Oh, that's even worse. Hey, just go this. Oh, I did knock the camera over again. I really need to get something that'll hold this in place. So, yeah, I don't want to have some goofy mugshot that'll distract away from the serious nature of this discussion, if there is one. So, I actually do have in my own analytics, there's also the thing where what other videos is your audience watching, and that thing has said not enough relevant data for months now. So, maybe, yeah, algorithms can't do everything.
That's an indicator that we do not have enough historic data from that traffic source. We're also trying to make it a little bit clearer which surfaces are coming from YouTube recommending your content. So that's
technology
and video suggested to watch up next. Keep in mind, it's really normal for viewers to find your video in different ways in different places. So it's very common for you to see a couple of different traffic sources mixed up in terms of this traffic source report. When a video performs really well from a certain traffic source, it may get fewer views or impressions on others. For example, if lots of viewers see a video on home, it may get fewer impressions on suggested and search because those viewers have already been offered the video elsewhere.
What's the humidity? Oh, we're down to levels when I was running the air conditioner in the summer. That's why. Well, we got this stuff handy here. Burt's Bees, baby. Not an ad, I just have that sitting around. Plus, chapstick is too plasticky for my tastes. Anywho, so he does have a point here. Connor does have a pretty good point here with regards to the way that YouTube works. It's nice to see that it's not just numbers in some arcane space somewhere, that there is a human side to it. If somebody finds your video one way, you're going to see the numbers dip in the other ways for that video as well. But that's kind of what we're looking for. I'm looking for particularly the divide between people and technology, and also the divide between when people do what. There's two audiences that you're catering to when you make a YouTube video. There's two audiences you're going to be catering to when you make a YouTube video. Your initial audience and your algorithm audience. So you'll see a video only get like 50 views because it's a small channel like mine. It'll sit at those 50 views until the algorithms kick in and start passing it around 6 months to a year later, and then you have maybe 500 views, 5,000 views, 500,000 views, depending on what the systems can do with it. YouTube systems can be slow, but they eventually do something. And so what this means is that the best stuff to put on YouTube is whatever is the most evergreen. Whatever will make the most sense to watch, not just immediately, but also years down the road. I think if you give it enough time, you eventually will get to the point where you have to think about this when you're streaming on YouTube as well. And that's what I'm already thinking about. In my case with MultimediaJay TV, as it were, these streams are made to be watched after the fact as much as they're made to be watched in the moment. It's not like what a lot of streamers do, where their VODs are just boring to watch because they were just wasting time in front of the camera for 7 hours because, hey, the longer I'm live, the more I grind and the more I take an audience from potential other people, which, by the way, I think informs the stalling culture among some of the larger streamers who have to make highlight videos. They can't just send their VODs over and actually get views because it's going to be 8-hour stream with like 7.5 hours of nothing because they never had any emphasis on show flow because they're primarily streamers. So something very much to think about. And I think also too, the fact that content expires on Twitch fundamentally lends Twitch in terms of game streaming to be the home for, like, you know, I'm just chilling and playing games, as opposed to putting on a show of any sort with show flow and everything, to where if it's good enough, people might actually be interested in it months or years down the road, as opposed to, this was me playing Call of Duty on February 6, 2019. That basically means nothing to anybody very, very shortly afterwards. From Twitch's perspective, when Twitch rolled out expiration dates, I remember reading about this not too long ago. When Twitch rolled out expirations for VODs, they mentioned that most of the traffic is within 2 weeks of the broadcast. Well, that's because Twitch's system encouraged people to make a certain kind of broadcast, as opposed to something more structured, or something with more show flow to it, or something that was more consistently interesting, or could remain interesting after it was produced. So, red versus purple, once again. Where were we?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, or as usual, send us some feedback through the feedback link. Next.
At least he's using a good camera, though. I've seen people who are representing YouTube when they do this, by the way, use not smartphone cameras, laptop cameras. So like, oh yeah, I had to jump on a Zoom meeting and it's pointing up, and pointing up at a human face is probably one of the worst angles. Well, he's kind of doing it, but you know, I've seen so many laptop cams with like 15 frames per second or something, or a very low shutter speed. So to see Connor using a pretty good camera, and when he's had a microphone, we've seen that he does have a decent mic as well that he could use at his setup. So it's cool to see these folks talking, you know, on behalf of YouTube with some decent equipment. They don't necessarily have to be full-time creators or have like super expensive equipment, but presentation should definitely be something when it comes to these ways in which YouTube interacts with their user base.
Next up, we have an awesome promotion that impacts YouTube Premium members and channel memberships as well.
I think this is it.
Until the 31st of December 2020, a couple of randomly selected users from Great Britain, Ireland, Brazil, Korea, Japan will receive one free non-recurring membership.
This is a test. But you know what that sounds like, right? One free, non-recurring channel membership. Couple more seconds.
Up to $4.99.
$5. 1 month non-recurring membership. Welcome to the YouTube equivalent of Twitch Prime. For subscribers to YouTube Premium in the test phase, obviously, with people in select markets having to be handpicked to test it out. But this is the beginning of YouTube having an answer to Twitch Prime. Now, what do I think of that? I don't think it's going to be as widespread as Twitch Prime, or Prime Gaming as it's called now, as Amazon has tried to make it more Amazon-y sounding. Doesn't make any sense either. I mean, Twitch was in the process of expanding beyond gaming when the name change occurred, so why not just keep Twitch Prime? Makes all the sense in the world. So many people are still saying Twitch Prime because its old habits die hard. But at the very same time, you got to remember what Amazon Prime is. Amazon drives value with Amazon Prime by just attaching more and more and more stuff to it. So let's actually, this might be worth making a graphic about. But well, maybe we should. Where's my PowerPoint? Give me a red versus purple template. Do we have that? Yeah. Let's open up the red versus purple. Let's do a template of Twitch Prime versus, we'll call it YouTube Prime just for fun. All right, Twitch Prime versus YouTube Prime. Let's go to PowerPoint and be an AV nerd like I often am. There we are. Okay, so we know that YouTube is working on an answer to Twitch Prime. So let's do, actually, we technically have to put it in quotes because it's no longer the official name of Twitch Prime, but Twitch Prime, in quotes, versus YouTube Prime. We have to use quotes because neither of these are the official names of these services. So, part of what makes Twitch Prime interesting is that it's part of Amazon Prime. Add our quotes, center that, add an underline as well. Part of what makes YouTube Prime interesting is, or Twitch Prime interesting, is it's part of Amazon Prime. So we got to do a value comparison between the two services. If YouTube decides they want to chase after Amazon Prime by having something attached to YouTube Premium service, let's do size 40. Size 40, bold, underline, center, 40. Bingo. Okay, so Twitch Prime. Let's get some bullet points going here with no underlines. No bolds, much, much smaller, left aligned. Let's drop it down to size 20. There we go. So Twitch Prime is part of Amazon Prime. So tied to Amazon Prime. tied to Amazon Prime. That way we can have comparisons between the two. So let's just copy this over to the other side and just change it. So what YouTube... Thanks, PowerPoint, you piece of... Anyways, size 20, left aligned, and bullet points. So on the YouTube side of things, if this YouTube Prime service, based on channel subscriptions, it would be tied to YouTube Premium. So for YouTube Premium service, you have so basically the only thing that's missing would be the e-commerce side of it with Twitch Prime versus YouTube Prime. Matter of fact, we probably should reverse the red and the purple, because purple was first in this case. And it would line up better with the titles. So let's just do this. Probably can move... Actually, we can probably move this in a little further. And then just make it a bit more square. Like this would do it. Yeah. Kudos to PowerPoint for helping you snap things in the right place to keep things symmetrical, although it still looks off. So, Twitch Prime tied to Amazon Prime. Why is there such a gap, though? Format, shape, show me the text box. What are the boundaries on that sort of thing? There are none. Interesting. Must be a side effect of the font. So, Twitch Prime is tied to Amazon Prime, and YouTube, this YouTube Prime service, this YouTube competitor is going to be tied to YouTube Premium. So, let's see here. Twitch tie, Prime. So, one free $5 a month Tier 1 sub, non-recurring. And I think the reason why $4.99 was mentioned specifically is for this to be an experiment to see how well this does. Although I do think Amazon Prime is going to be superior to that. Oh, okay. I think Amazon Prime is going to be superior to all of this. Format, paint, everything after here. There we go. Let's see if it works now. Much better. So, tied to YouTube Premium, one free $5 a month Tier 1 Twitch sub, non-recurring. You have to keep using it every month. And this experiment, why does it keep going back to... Let's just hit delete. Until there's nothing. Okay, so one... Format, paint. There we go. One, can I, click underneath and have it not... Okay. There must have been some hidden ways. There we go. One, let's see if it, watch it get big again. One free channel membership of up to $4.99 per month, non-recurring. Now, this is the thing. YouTube has left channel memberships in the hands of the creators. There is no Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, although you can create that if you really want to. Like, if you're influenced by Twitch, or maybe you're a YouTube, maybe you're coming over to YouTube from Twitch, you'll do, like, Tier 1, 2, and 3 subs. But with channel memberships, which also apply to members-only stuff, it's kind of a mix between Twitch and Patreon, the way YouTube runs it. So, you set the tiers. How are we doing with, drop frames? Okay. Fortunately, nothing's happening on screen, but the internet's being wacko right now. So, alright, you have Amazon Prime, you have one free $5 per month. $5 a month! Tier 1 Twitch sub, non-recurring, you have to keep using it every month. On YouTube Prime, you have a channel membership of up to a similar dollar value. Now, I think the big difference is just going to be the e-commerce side of it. One of the selling points of Amazon Prime is that you have Amazon, you have, Premier or Preferred Class. We'll put that in quotes, kind of like we're talking airline or something. Preferred Class or Preferred Stock or something. Preferred Class, so to speak, Amazon e-tail service. So everything on Amazon has some kind of, it gets better with Twitch Prime, like the free 2-day shipping and things along those lines. I think that's going to be the key difference here. Because when we start getting into videos and stuff, Twitch Prime also gives you Prime... Twitch Prime, aka Amazon Prime, gives you Prime Video, aka Amazon's Netflix service, which also gives you Watch Party stream functionality. So, part of the problem here is that YouTube is selling rentals. YouTube is selling movies you can rent or buy. I don't know of any kind of Netflixy type service with YouTube. There's YouTube. Let me just look at the YouTube Premium benefits once again. Let me fire that up in another browser. So YouTube Premium, what comes with that? YouTube and YouTube Music ad-free. Oh, okay, let's look at the Wikipedia thing. For $12 a month versus Amazon Prime, which costs what? We should probably put the cost of that in there too, because it's tied to YouTube Premium. Oh, it's taking me to Amazon. I want to know what the cost is of Amazon Prime. Cost per month, like what, 12 bucks or so? It's still trying to show me, no, I don't want to shop on Amazon. Avast secure. Amazon Prime cost. It keeps trying to send me. I want to search for that. Okay, we're going to do things the old-fashioned way. Google.com, like it's 1999. What's next? The results going to say Google across the bottom. Amazon Prime costs per month. Please. $12.99. Okay, so the membership fee. All right, tied to YouTube Premium. Okay, tied to Amazon Prime, which is $12.99 per month. Let's just use a slash for that. $12.99 per month for Twitch Prime versus YouTube Premium, which costs what again? Experiments. That's Firefox. I'm going to use the other browser here, not Chrome, because that runs all the Twitch stuff. Let's do this. YouTube Premium subscription. Let's see here. Back it up. What is this? Watch millions of YouTube videos without ads. I think that's really what they're trying to sell it. Oh, let's see here. $11.99 from CNBC, about $12 a month. So $11.99 per month. So same price bracket, basically. Same price bracket, around $12. One for each channel membership with a $4.99 per month non-recurring preferred class Amazon e-tail service. On the other side of this, ad-free YouTube viewing. But let's check the Wikipedia article on YouTube Premium here. YouTube.com, or let's go straight to YouTube on this. YouTube and YouTube Music ad-free offline and in the background. 1 month free trial, then $11.99 per month. Cancel anytime. Let's just see here. $11.99 per month. So we did get the price right there. Ad-free and background play. Watch videos uninterrupted by ads, which is one of the reasons why, if too many people buy this, I think they're going to raise the price. Watch videos uninterrupted by ads while using other apps when the screen is locked, so a mobile thing. There's also music as well that's included, so you do need to put YouTube Music in there. But doesn't Amazon have something like that too? So what is included with YouTube Premium? Download videos to watch offline, save videos and playlists on mobile devices and play them offline or play in the background. YouTube Kids is in there too. Google Play Music, of course, is now YouTube Music. So let's see here. It's basically a music service. Ad-free YouTube. So ad-free YouTube video viewing, YouTube Music included. So we're just comparing these two here. One of the things that is, of course, one of the things that's missing here is a tie-in to YouTube does movie rentals. They rent and buy. You can do rent or buy and buy movies on YouTube a la carte. I'm actually curious if anybody at YouTube has ever thought about some kind of competition with Amazon's Prime Video in this respect. Or is the ad-free YouTube viewing supposed to be the competition with the least amount of maintaining streaming licenses and other stuff that they would need for that sort of thing? So let me just keep looking at YouTube Premium here. There isn't really much else here, just what it's being advertised as. So let's check the Wikipedia article. Subscription service, ad-free access to content across the service, as well as premium YouTube originals. Okay, that's their answer to Netflix in that respect. See here. Rebranding as YouTube Premium in 2018. There's also YouTube Music, etc. Content licensing terms for channels. That's for the reception, things like that. But yeah, it's a video on demand service. Very much like what Amazon has, but with different stuff. So part of the issue here is where, let's see here. Videos here. Movies can still be rented or bought separately. No watch party streaming as of yet on YouTube streaming. So there's that element to it. Whereas on the Amazon Twitch side, there's more marry-up technology where things are kind of clumped together. Kind of like what's going on with Twitch Soundtrack. Where with Twitch Soundtrack, you have separate audio channels, and you can choose to have music in the live, but don't make the live stream, but not make it onto the VOD afterwards. So, tied to Amazon Prime, $12.99 a month, one free $5 per class Amazon e-tail service, Prime Video, which is Amazon's Netflix service, which includes movies. Watch Party stream functionality, and the important part with Watch Parties is that Amazon often uses marry-up technology for things like watch parties to respect intellectual property rights, while also allowing Twitch streamers to essentially stream copyrighted movies to other Amazon Prime folks who already can see them. So the idea I had in mind here was there might be a few more benefits to Amazon Prime over YouTube Prime, but I'm really rethinking that because of some of these differences. Another key thing with Twitch Prime that we have to remember with Amazon Prime is that Twitch Turbo is still a separate service for ad-free viewing of Twitch streamers, or of Twitch streams. That's one of the key differences there. Twitch Turbo, I believe, Twitch Turbo is separate, and that's one of the very important differences. Let me actually just double check on that. I think this is something that I actually was like, hey, wait a minute. Twitch Turbo. Watching a Turbo needs no pre-rolls, no mid-rolls, no companions, and no display ads. You may still be presented promotions with and ads that are embedded. But yeah, Twitch Turbo. With Turbo, Twitch gets better features you can't get anywhere else. Ad-free viewing with limited exceptions. Chat badge. Expanded emote set. Custom chat username colors. Extended broadcast storage. So you get the equivalent of being a Twitch partner for VOD storage versus the standard 14 isn't a thing anymore. So... or maybe it's because I'm Amazon Prime, so that's why things stick around longer. That might be the issue. You know, I've never actually had VODs go away after 14 days, so $8.99 a month for Twitch Turbo. But that's part of the issue here, is that Amazon Prime doesn't give you the ad-free viewing. So I guess it is kind of something where YouTube, maybe they think it could be a competition of sorts, where it could be competitive, where if you're paying for YouTube Premium, you're already be able to watch YouTube videos ad-free. You have a music service that's ad-free that's part of that, so it's like a Spotify subscription. Movies are still separate, though, unlike in the Amazon ecosystem on Twitch. So you're not gaining, although there are some videos that are free with ads. Let me actually poke around on YouTube here. So we don't have, we'll just keep Connor's video, paused here. YouTube.com, oh, cool. Firefox's algorithms are telling me that think I'm interested in why cats moon us. Whatever. That's the internet, ladies and gentlemen. So let me actually look at YouTube movies. I think the big issue with YouTube movies and the ability to watch movies on YouTube is that there are some that are free with ads. But none of that, there isn't a category yet where if you have YouTube Premium, you get certain movies for free. So you have stuff you've purchased. And another thing, too, that happens on YouTube as well is, this is a DMCA minefield. I absolutely will not show this on screen. There's trailers and stuff as well. I could probably get there a little bit better through the browse window. Let's go to the homepage. Go to the YouTube homepage. Can I see movies here? Setting movies and shows. Yes. More from YouTube. Movies and shows. So I can browse. So yeah, there's buy or rent, and then there's free with ads for certain movies on YouTube as well. So, and it's things like the Super Size Me sequel and stuff like that. What I don't see on here, though, is anything that would be free if I were a premium subscriber. So is there any integration planned? YouTube Premium, YouTube Movies. Is there any integration planned whatsoever? I don't think I've ever heard of any. Background play. Can I watch rented movies? Somebody from Google support has actually asked Google support on this. There's also YouTube TV, which is a separate service. Let's see here. Nope, no answer on YouTube help. So that just kind of sat there. So there we go. That's really one of the things that's missing. Movies can still be rented or bought separately or watched free with ads. No watch party streaming as of yet on YouTube. Streaming, initially, one can think that a YouTube answer to Twitch Prime is not as good as Amazon Prime, but in reality, it's a give or take. Some features will exist on Twitch, Amazon, while others exist on YouTube. So there's our differences. Twitch Prime versus YouTube Prime, similar costs, but you get certain benefits with one package that you don't get with another. So, or watch free with ads. Is it saying to drop the comma? Yeah, we'll do that. No watch party streaming as of yet on YouTube streaming, but YouTube streaming still very much a work in progress. Live control room was a big step forward. But there we go. So, I'm glad I did this, because here I was thinking that maybe, we'll save this to make a screenshot of earlier. Here I was thinking that YouTube Prime wouldn't be, so to speak, wouldn't be as good as Twitch Prime. But when you think about it, it is kind of an exchange here. There's some things that Amazon does but doesn't, and there's some things that YouTube, aka Google, is doing but doesn't. Well, finally, darn speaker. So, okay, it is kind of more of a mixed bag. Very, very interesting. Right then, let's get back to the video. So this is being tested, not something, it's being tested in certain markets. But hey, you know, if YouTube were to go live with this, I think it'd probably be something they'd want to look into for expansions of the Prime Videos, or the Prime Video, the YouTube Premium service, as a way to take on Amazon a little more in this battle of the tech giants.
If they are either a current YouTube Premium member, or if they sign up and become a new YouTube Premium subscriber. This offer will be promoted to eligible viewers on your channel membership's offer screen. More information in the description below if you need to read up on it. Next.
Well, it's only being tested in certain markets, so it's not the sort of thing that's really going widespread yet. But it'll be interesting to see what the results of this test are.
Next up, awesome updates about mobile and the app mention functionality. What's new? Well, creators will be able to app mention from Studio and the main app as well as desktop. This applies to new app mentions or the editing of app mentions in existing content. Next.
This is something that was brought over from Twitter. So you can actually do an @ for referring to other YouTubers and their channels. It's nice to bring back some community features after years of, you know, removing video responses, the culture shifting away towards everyone's an island versus what it was initially as video social media in the early days of YouTube. So it's very interesting to see these kinds of features being spread to mobile and things like that as well. But @ mentions are a way you can do shoutouts to channels. They don't always work as well, though, because just like on Twitter, when you start typing the @ you have to pick specifically who you're doing the @ to from a drop-down menu. And in the case of, for example, DJ Williams, whose music I'm a huge fan of on the YouTube audio library, I can't ever find him in the drop-down list. There's too many DJ Williamses on YouTube for me to actually find his channel. So it's not perfect, but it's a start.
Next up, we have a really cool experiment, and this is about timestamping your comments.
Okay. Timestamping comments. We're going to let him say his piece, but I sharply disagree with what they're doing with this. Let's let him say everything first.
What viewers who are part of the experiment are going to experience is an icon which will pop up, and you will be able to insert the timestamp into the comment rather than having to do it manually. Sounds good, right?
No, it doesn't. It's a way that YouTube isn't as good as Facebook. So you get a button to insert the timestamp. This should be mandatory for everybody who comments on a YouTube video all the time. Facebook already does this, and this is actually the sort of thing that adds accountability to a very real problem that exists on YouTube, and that is there are people, haters, who will blow up in your face without even watching the video. Or maybe they watch barely any and they dislike it. Now, if you watch something on Facebook, when people do the reactions like the haha face or something, or they type comments, you'll see a timestamp on when they type them. So if somebody comes in and says, you're the worst person in the world, I hate you, you're stupid, don't make videos, blah, 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 you're fat, you're ugly, you're the worst YouTuber out there, and you see that a timestamp of like 5 seconds or something, you know that they're just a fly-by-night who just wanted to come troll you. And of course, you could also second guess if it was later in the video because, oh, maybe they just waited so I wouldn't think they were a troll. But this is the thing. For more constructive feedback, if somebody is inspired to make multiple comments in a long-form video, like say they're watching a stream replay or something, and they have a response to what you did at 20 minutes in versus 40 minutes in versus hour and 15 minutes in, it would be good to make it not look like they were spamming your comments because you could see timestamps on when people had the thoughts that they had for the constructive feedback and stuff. And as this own preview says right here, remember to keep comments respectful and to follow our community guidelines, because community guidelines recently have been reinforced as applying to comments, and besides just deleting and banning people who troll you, you can actually report them for cyberbullying or harassment. So another thing to think about when leaving YouTube comments and why you should keep it civil is that YouTube is applying the very same community guidelines structure to comments that they apply to creators making videos. So it's not, randos in the comments have to, can actually receive community guidelines disciplinary action for comments they make. And I think this is a step in the right direction because Twitch is known for having a stricter banning system than YouTube with the IP shadow bans. So if somebody makes sock puppet accounts to come back and harass you, they scream into the void and nobody can see any of their stuff anyways. But another thing, and this is something that may not be emphasized as much in this DMCA climate, where people are nervous about DMCA claims and stuff like that. Another thing that might be an issue is that if someone makes a malicious clip of you from a Twitch stream, like the stuff Quarter Jade was talking about, where she bent over and someone, I'm going to clip that because they're juvenile. You can ban people directly for clips. There's disciplinary sword menu features like moderators. You can time out someone 24 hours or ban them directly from a malicious clip they make of you that you can see in your clips manager. So another way to hold people accountable for being bad actors in your community. So YouTube making comments optional is a step in the wrong direction for both developing more dialogue with the audience, because it doesn't look like they're spamming you if they just have that many thoughts on your YouTube video at various points in the video, but also to expose people who just are fly-by-nights that are blowing up in your face without even watching your stuff. At the very well, they can always work around all of that, but here's the thing. One of the things you run into with people engaging in cyberbullying is that if it gets too hard, they look for a target that's easier to tick off. So anything that can make it take more effort to troll somebody will ultimately lead to less trolling, because people won't want to go to all the trouble. They may not even stay on the platform. They might go to some other platform that's not as developed and pick up where they left off until that platform catches up with the way that they moderate their community. So, Connor, if you ever see this, timestamps should be mandatory and automatically placed on all comments. And because YouTube is going in the direction of more long-form content being on the platform via live streams and stuff, besides the chat replays, there needs to be mandatory timestamps on anything at this point. Facebook is ahead of the game by having this in Facebook Live events. But that's the thing. There should be timestamps on everything, mandatory as a standard feature in every YouTube comment on the platform. The end.
Stamp into the comment rather than having to do it manually. Sounds good, right? Next up, we have another experiment. So this one is India only at the outset. So for
India,
everybody who watches this channel in India, we really need your feedback. What we're doing is adding a shorts video to the explore page where somebody can view the featured short and then go on and explore more shorts.
Those of you who don't know what YouTube Shorts is, it's YouTube's answer to TikTok. YouTube's answer to TikTok. Some people are making fun of this page, though, because under gaming, they have a Stadia controller. Hey, you know, it's a Google product. So even if Stadia is a meme at this point, you know, not surprised. It's exactly the sort of thing I expect a company to do, to show the likeness of their own products in their own menus. So yes, I'm not worried about there being a Stadia controller on the on this gaming menu right here.
And see even more great content. Now, what is staying the same? Well, creators and artists on the rise are still going to be found in the exact same place, still going to be available, as well as the easy access to trending and other destinations such as fashion, gaming, news. Right, next up we have yet another experiment.
Before we get to that though, one last note on YouTube Shorts. It would be stupid of me to not bring up the obvious here, and that is what kind of stuff is YouTube working on with regards to the length of content that's featured on the platform. Since YouTube is working on becoming more of a streaming platform, we're going to see more stream replays, stream highlights, things along those lines. Longer stuff. So, to kind of make up for that, I think YouTube Shorts is a great way to round everything out, because when you have people streaming and then using the more robust cloud editor versus Twitch's highlight editor to edit out dull parts of their streams, technical difficulties, etc., and condense directly their what would be called VODs on Twitch down to highlight videos without having a separate process for that, because it can be done in the cloud for people that just want all the best parts of a stream, and there's even a save as new feature. So as that becomes more of a thing, I think we're going to see a bias towards longer stuff on YouTube. So for the TikTok generation that wants something short and sweet, or maybe Google wants to make some kind of competitor to what's going on with Amazon's mobile app for showing clips of mobile games, which I think could turn into a Twitch competitor to an extent if Twitch were to be spun off from Amazon. But covering all the bases for a general purpose platform like YouTube, I think, is perfectly viable and perfectly a good thing to do with what's going on. I mean, live control room and YouTube streaming have evolved quite substantially. YouTube streaming is way more viable than it ever was before. Still has its issues, but this is the right move to be making. So having a TikTok clone, well, guess what? Twitch already has a TikTok clone through the clip system. They just chose not to do. They just chose to let its potential sit on the table. Imagine if Harris Heller's had this idea for a long time. Imagine if you could find out about 20 new streamers via a lightning round of their most popular Twitch clips by just going to some part of Twitch and like, show me stuff. And you see streamers, who they are, and you see a lightning round of like 20 of the most popular 1 minute tops moments from recent streams. Wouldn't that be awesome? Well, YouTube is ahead of the game on this with YouTube Shorts. We continue.
Fresh from the lab. So this one's about chapters and titles. So previously we had introduced this experiment where you can basically split your video into its component parts and give each component part a relevant timestamp.
I've been doing that, by the way, on some stuff, but it's such a pain in the neck to do. Such a pain. So, yeah. Actually, I did this years ago. I used to have podcasts on YouTube, which was a blue screen most of the time, like the extreme version of the radio style series. And I would always have stuff like this so people could skip around. But this is another feature that would help flesh out this whole situation with long-form content on YouTube.
And a description or title. Now, in your description, what that involved was making sure that you're listing what the timestamp is and the title of each chapter. What we're doing is testing out automatic chapters. So what this will do is use machine learning to identify text within your video and pull that text into a chapter title. sounds cool, right?
Yes, it does. Because I've heard people on Twitch want human beings, lack of emphasis on technology, to be able to do this via a stream marker button on the stream dashboard. But streamers want to stream. They don't want to be like, oh yeah, that part of the stream was cool, let's push a button. They don't want to have to remember that stuff. So here we go, YouTube trying to be in the forefront with technology. It would be awesome if this could be tied in with the advertising system, because the advertising system is already trying to find natural breaks in the content to place mid-roll ads. I'm curious if this is how they're going to do that. Just to give you an idea of how this stuff has progressed. I used to think a couple of months ago that post-roll ads on YouTube videos were basically something that was interfering with the ability to use end screens. However, this system has evolved to the point where I went and watched one of my streams to see, one of my streams the other night. A mid-roll inserted itself after the intro. Literally, the music died down right before the camera switched over to me. Boom, ad. That's the kind of precision that the system is getting to in terms of where to place the mid-rolls. But I'm curious if this can be adapted to essentially watch for changes in the video or stream so that chapters are generated automatically. You just fill in the names of what everything is and use the timestamps to move from place to place. This sounds like a cool idea if these folks can get it working. Because that's the biggest deterrent to putting chapters in videos, is going back through like 2-hour stream, 6-hour stream, long form this, long form that. Like, all right, what was where again? Do I really have to watch all 6 hours of this to find where everything was? And I hope I don't miss anything if I try to arrow around and find where everything was. Whatever.
So we're testing this out with a very small group of viewers and videos. And from the viewer perspective, what's going to happen is a small button will pop up within the player and they will have the option to go to a specific chapter.
Why not just give creators the option of using something similar to this to add it to their description and use the existing system that way? Just fill it in. Or how about it pops open a window with text that you can copy paste into your description after you modify what everything is and delete what isn't actually a chapter break. That would save creators a ton of work. Some kind of UI thing. Then again, one of the things that holds back YouTube streaming versus Twitch streaming is a couple of UI deficiencies. So another UI deficiency to add to the to-do list to resolve wouldn't be that wild and unheard of.
Now, those specific chapters that the viewer, as part of this experiment, is going to see are those automated chapters. That's the machine learning at work. However, what trumps that is videos which already have those manually inputted titles and chapters and timestamps.
So why not just have that be something? Notice what's discussed here from the viewer's perspective, but not the creator's perspective. Is there anything that's going to be added in here that's going to allow creators to not have to noodle around their video as much to insert these to the video description? That's really what's missing here. And I know YouTube, with the revamps to where mid-roll ads are placed, has the technology to snoop around for where the key transitions in a video are. So where's the creator side of this?
Nothing's going to happen to those. They're going to remain exactly as the same as they are right now.
But what if I have, for example, a stream replay, and I haven't bothered to go to all the trouble or the chore of finding out what discussions were where, or anything like that? Why can't this system give me suggestions that I can copy-paste into my description and make that even easier to do? The mid-roll ads are already automatically inserting ad breaks and trying to find spots where it's a good place to insert them. The technology is already doing something on the advertising side of things, but why can't this make it easier for creators to add in a list of timestamps for chapters?
Now, this is not a full launch. It's only a couple of videos, a couple of viewers.
Indeed, and most of what you've talked about is experimental and being tested, not anything that's launching anytime soon. But it's cool to know that folks want to try it out. Now, where's that raids feature that the engineers and the live team talked about months ago?
If you want to opt out, which I'm sure A very small minority of you will. There are details in the description below. All right, this video is tiring me out. And that's why I'm taking a brief pause, handing it over to Mac, who's going to give you some great updates about Audio Library and the new ability to add or replace audio directly in Studio.
This is huge. This is yet another feature that Twitch will probably get jealous about. Oh, you have a copyright issue? Well, we have a bitrate degrader that scrubs the song, but you can still hear like you talking and stuff. And now you have something to put it in the background so you can use audio tricks to mask over the fact that you removed copyrighted music from your YouTube video of you shopping at the supermarket or something that flagged in Content ID. This is cool sounding stuff. Now, this part coming up, I think the guy shows graphics. So this is part of the reason why I wanted to have React mode in addition to debate mode for reacting to videos like this.
Take it away, Mac.
Thank you, Connor. What's up, insiders? It's Mock here. First update I have for you guys is around our YouTube audio library. And I think most of you know what this feature is. If you don't, it is a collection of thousands of free songs that we make available to you, free to use in your videos, so you don't have to worry about copyright claims, and you can monetize those videos if you're eligible.
That's the key. See, one of the things I want to do, especially now that I have a Monster Cat license, because that's stuff from earlier. One of the things I want to do, I want to do a showdown between YouTube Audio Library, Monster Cat, NCS.io, and other, alternatives to commercial music. Probably in a YouTube stream, but I want to do some kind of comparison between these alternative music services, just to compare what kind of tracks they have, but also give proper credit to the artists while doing so. Pretzel Player as well. I can't see if Pretzel has integration with YouTube yet. So that way, the robot talking to the chat can go into the chat replay when we load certain songs in the Pretzel Player. So, Twitch soundtrack, unfortunately, is Twitch specific, so we can't put it in a YouTube stream in that respect. But one of the advantages of the YouTube audio library is that nearly everything in there is non-attribution. So, but you still want to, if something cool is on there, as a matter of publicity to the artist who chose to probably give up revenue in order to not monetize the song on the biggest video platform in the world, you still want to give him shout-outs and stuff. That's why I've been saying nice things about DJ Williams, Slink, Silent Partner, Vibe Tracks, Jingle Punks, which is a business, by the way. And let's also not forget Dougie Wood with his nice 80s sounding Do or Die song and some of the synthwave stuff that I've used in some of the videos. It sounds like something from the 80s. So if I go after the whole Dr. Disrespect thing, as some people think I do with these sunglasses, then the soundtrack can match the 80s badass type thing and whatnot. I don't want to be a big 80s badass that pretends to drive Lamborghinis. That's a totally different discussion entirely. We'd better get back to the video before I dig myself an even bigger hole and need a bigger shovel.
And I just want to announce that we fully launched this in YouTube Studio. So that means you can find your favorite sound effects, and find tracks licensed under Creative Commons, and we made this a lot easier for you to do. We've also improved the filtering so you can really drill down on the best tracks for your videos.
Has the issue with Content ID been resolved yet, though? The thing I ran into earlier was somebody took a YTAL track and they resubmitted it to Content ID as though it was the original composition. False, yes. But that's actually something I want to bring up yet again, especially since I'm at YouTube creators and send the YouTube version of this discussion over to them. The Content ID system has a track option for people that just want to track when something matches. Why not use YouTube Content ID to give credit to the artists automatically under music in this video? So that way, if people are curious, especially if they're going to ask the YouTuber, hey, what's that song you played? It'd be a way of expanding the exposure that artists get through the YTAL by having that pop up in music in this video at no monetization consequence to the creator. I think maybe more artists would want to use the YTAL or submit to the YTAL if that were the case, if they can get some publicity out of the deal. So, something to consider. YouTube has the technology to make this happen. And it would be cool for musicians if they did.
We also brought back the starred tracks feature, and now I'm going to show you how this looks in YouTube Studio. So you can access the audio library in the left nav of your YouTube Studio, as seen here.
That's been there for a while.
And immediately you can see that there's 3 tabs at the top. First one is free music, So this is your general production music.
Why does that look different? That totally looks different. What has that changed since the last time I used it? YouTube Studio, please. Audio library. Yeah, it looks like they cleaned up the interface a bit. Firefox. But yeah, this is it right here. License type, YouTube audio library, no attribution required. But it would be cool if we could have some setup, or maybe make it something you can toggle on and off. Because I would love to give folks like Patrick Patrikios credit for the music without having to do anything. And that way people can find out about them. It would also be cool if, much like Monster Cat, people could listen to YTAL music and find out about these creators without being creators themselves. Although I think even if you're not partnered, I think you have access to this through Studio. So if you have a YouTube account at all, it's just buried. It takes too many clicks to get to this and find out about DJ Freedom and Asher Falero and the rest of them. So, last update was in October of 2020. We'll have to, yeah, I think I remember when this all went live from Patrick Patrikios. So, but yeah, I do want to do a showdown, so to speak, between music services besides commercial music to further the sort of stuff that I was talking about with regards to content creators need to change their relationship with commercial music. So, and you have to realize there's a whole world out there of music that's not commercial music that the RIAA is going to give you trouble over. So, I also find it funny that the guy named his channel ASDF. Nothing says test channel like ASDF.
Then we have sound effects, things like kids playing, people cheering, class breaking. And the last tab we have here is Start. So this is where you can keep track of your favorite tracks from the audio library that you've come across. So you can see I have 4 here, which have all starred. So if we go...
So here's something to think about when it comes to starring things. I would be more likely to star sound effects that I like, so I can easily find them. I would not use the star feature for music tracks. For music tracks, I would just download them. It's that simple. I keep a folder of various music from various sources. So YouTube, Jamendo. Probably don't need the Jamendo stuff anymore. Probably can delete that. It's been many years since I last used the Jamendo Creative Commons track. But probably going to add NCS to this as well. But in terms of I need a sound effect, I'm more likely to want to use a web interface to verify which sound effect I like from earlier that I want to use again, as opposed to listening to music again. So I'd probably mostly use stars for sound effects.
Go back to the free music tab. See there's multiple columns here, one for genre, mood, artist, and so on.
They're all filterable
these
too.
Columns are filterable, so you filter here, genre, choose classical. You can also filter by mood. Do that there. See how that works.
I'm concerned about classical though, because even if the music is public domain, some specific performances are not. Classical is a great way to get a false positive from Content ID, because you may have a situation where an orchestra registers their classical pieces into Content ID and they get falsely matched with this. Then you got to go through all the rigmarole of trying to get the false claim removed, I'd rather work with music that's either sounds like classical but isn't, or is more original. That way it doesn't get mixed up with something by the system.
Works. Exit out of that. You can also filter the column itself. So if I click here, all the songs listed here are now made by this artist that I've filtered for. And you can see we've added a link here that takes you to the artist's YouTube channel page, which is pretty cool.
This is all stuff that, wait a minute, no, that's Patrick Patrikios.
Takes you to the artist's YouTube channel page.
Why did I bring this up? Yeah, that's Patrick Patrikios' page there. Why did I bring this up before these people are bringing it up officially? Are they behind the 8-ball on stuff? I found this weeks ago, and I was like, hey, check it out. The YTAL had a revision and stuff. This is supposed to be something new, and it was posted on November 17th, and I knew about these improvements to the YTAL quite some time ago. Why are they just now, hey, look, this is a thing? What happened? Somebody fall behind on something, or a video schedule?
Which is pretty cool. And I do want to call out.
And it's also potential, by the way. If YouTube wants more people to contribute to the YTAL, there should be things that give them some exposure because they're giving up revenue to do this. DJ Williams, for example, does rhythm and blues type stuff. You may have heard the Hammond B3 organ rhythm and blues thing that I've used on my YouTube streams. It's called 75 or Lower. Really cool song. But he also does commercial music. If you go to his actual YouTube channel, you will actually see commercial releases with content ID information showing up in the description that it's through a record company and stuff. So some of these artists are actually doing this as a publicity move alongside commercial music that they're working on through a record label. So the ability to give artists more exposure, or maybe music in this video to credit the artist automatically generated if you use YTAL tracks by tying it in with Content ID and just having it track, or just report. Don't track anything for anybody. Don't set off the copyright tab as we see here for YouTube Studio for the artist page. Just have a way to auto credit and give the link to their channel if creators want to do that. Maybe they have it turned on or something. If something like that happened and there was a toggle for me to basically, link to people's YouTube channels when I use YTAL tracks and under music in this video, I would do that in a second. I would do that just like that. Because you know how many times I've had people post in the comments, hey, what song are you using at 5:02? What song was that at 17:06? What song was that 2 minutes in? I would love to have something built in that answers that question and credits the artist. YouTube could do that. Question is, will they?
Filter here called Attribution Required. So I sort of talked about this, but these are songs
Kevin
under
MacLeod.
Creative Commons license.
Yep.
So they're free for you to use as long as you provide attribution in your video description.
That's another reason to have that kind of automatic system. That way, if you use Creative Commons music that requires attribution, you don't have to bother with it because the system's going to generate the link to the artist page, or it's going to have the proper attributions automatically added underneath the video description. It'd be another convenience feature that lets creators continue creating instead of having to worry about all this administrative stuff like, please put this or that in the description. And it would be cool if other music providers could opt into that system for, auto credit. Wouldn't it be fun if you could use NCS music anytime you wanted, and you wouldn't have to, please post this in your video description like they say for you to do? That would be awesome. You wouldn't have to worry about it. It would just get added in automatically, and everyone could see the NCS tracks that you used. NCS would have a ball with this, and probably most of the folks on the YTAL as well.
So we have this column called license type, and if you hover over this, basically the information I just talked about, and if you click on View Details, we provide you with all the information you need to include in your video description.
That should be auto-generated. If you use copyrighted commercial music, and there is a monetize or track or whatever, Content ID picks it up, it'll show up automatically under music in this video with links to like the record company or the music video or something like that. So it would be cool if they could expand that system to make it easier to credit artists and give creators the options, unless it's Creative Commons where it's required, to toggle that. So that way you could shout out automatically through YouTube's own systems the artists whose YTAL tracks you are using. Maybe even include links like this.
In order to meet that attribution requirement. So all you have to do is click copy here and paste that in your video description.
A person shouldn't have to do that. Although it'd be cool if NCS could license, if NCS stuff could show up in here, or even Stream Beats. If Harris Heller ever wants to put Stream Beats on the YouTube audio library, given all the nice things he says about YouTube. It has discoverability. You can grow your Twitch stream by making YouTube videos, that kind of thing. That'd be pretty cool, though. A person should not have to click copy, though. YouTube has more than enough systems that they use for commercial music when you get Content ID'd that they could just generate this automatically. So the next step is to make it so you don't need to use a copy button.
Exit out of that. And if you want to download the song to edit offline, click download here in the added column, or you can download in the player itself. And now you can also add tracks from our audio library directly into your videos from our YouTube editor. And so that brings me to our second update, which is around our add and replace audio feature. So this is what I just talked about. We're here in the YouTube editor. If you click add a track, it brings up the audio library. You can add a song here. It shows up in your video editing timeline. And we've added the ability for you to see the waveform of the track, which is pretty cool.
This is the cloud editor for YouTube, and it actually has a zoom thing there, so you can be a lot more precise than you can with Twitch's highlight editor, where you can only go down to the second. This thing lets you go down to the frame. The issue I have is we tried using it again. This is a feature I knew about weeks ago, and they're just now bragging about it. I wonder if it's been refined yet, or maybe I'm seeing new features before they're publicly released. I don't know. But the big thing is, I put my background music in at 7 to 15% of the total audio level, so I want to know how soft this volume slider that they have gets. Because last time we tried using this, we couldn't get it soft enough to actually be background music. It was a little too loud. I wonder if they've refined that since then.
Here, if you click here, you can adjust the mix level of the audio.
That's the wet dry thing I was talking about.
Is that we've added the ability for you to add multiple tracks to your video. This feature also allows you...
Why would you want to do that? Who knows? But you can add multiple songs in multiple places. Theoretically, if I really wanted to, if this worked well enough, I could add YouTube audio library tracks to the tech videos I did that didn't have background music and make them slightly less dull compared to their successors. So...
you just swap out any claimed songs from your videos with tracks from our audio library.
This should make Twitch streamers very jealous. While they're worrying about, I might get DMCA'd because a copyrighted song played on the PA at the supermarket. Here's where the record company just takes your revenue until you use the cloud editor to put in a YTAL song instead. Technology, ladies and gentlemen. And it's done through the cloud. Lovely.
And once you successfully swap out those claimed songs, those associated claims get automatically released.
So here's what I would do in a situation like this. I would muddy up the audio with the song remover, and then I would add the song manually. I'd still have the timestamps and everything. I would add the song manually after the fact. So the audio would be kind of blah, but the copyrighted song would get muddied out. People could still kind of sort of understand me just at a lower bit rate if I was like talking in the supermarket or something. Hi, YouTube, we're buying like what's on sale at Big Y today or whatever. We're going to Aldi. No, Aldi doesn't actually have a PA for music. So that's a wrong example. Should have said Walmart instead or something. So... yeah, but this is it. I mean, instead of just replacing the song, you could just manually put it in there after you use the song remover to scrub and degrade the bit rate until the claim is released. Then put music in afterwards, so when you sound like you're talking through a telephone, it's not as bad because there's music in the background. Options for creators that do not exist on Twitch. This should be making Twitch people very, very jealous. Particularly the folks in charge of these kinds of features, if they ever are going to exist on Twitch. You know, we know that YouTube is copying Twitch in some areas with regards to their streaming presence, so it's open season. I will not have a problem if I hear that Twitch is copying YouTube on something. It's all part of providing better products and services to your, essentially, customers.
And applied restrictions also get removed from your video as well. We know these tools are really important to you guys. We're always looking to improve them. So if you have any feedback, leave it in the comments down below, or you can leave it directly in products. We'll definitely take a look. And yeah, that's it. Catch you guys.
So one last thing before he goes and we get back to Connor here. So imagine the situation with Jake and Bake. That shoop-de whoop or whatever it was, Kanye West song that some randomly blasted out of a speaker. DMCA'd. Copyright strike. On YouTube, content ID'd, video cannot be monetized, ad revenue redirected to the music company or blocked. You go into your cloud who is it? Jake and Bake. Jake and Bake goes into a cloud editor, scrubs the song from that specific part of the VOD, and then either leaves the audio sounding muddy or puts in a music track in some other music track instead that plays for like 2 seconds. That's technology. That's YouTube. And that's why I'm such a Team Red fanboy. YouTube has made a lot of progress in a lot of areas. Too many people out there are talking about YouTube like it's still 2007. And, you know, Viacom has just sued the company and people are going nuts. There's been a lot of progress in the last 10 plus years. And there's a lot to be proud of. It's just that people who are fishbowled by YouTube, the YouTube answer to the Twitch bowl effect, people who are fishbowled by YouTube don't appreciate this until they see a world where this doesn't exist yet. And they're like, well, when are they going to catch up? Anyways, bye. Oh, wait. React mode. So long, fella.
Later.
My God, you've done it. You're at the end of the video and you're here for one of those trivia questions asked by you, the creators, and answered by us.
So they took the trivia and flipped it in reverse. So let's see what we got here.
So 411 now asks, what is discussions of modern acts of terror, events resulting in a catastrophic loss of human life, or controversial social issues
Adpocalypse question.
A historical event that took place over 100 years ago? Really good question. Now, let's give some background and pedal back. What 411 is asking about is one of the options within self-certification. This is driven by the advertiser-friendly guidelines.
Self-certification is one of the best things that YouTube has done since the adpocalypse, and I've been surprised how many times I've had, like, video game violence in a video, which people were worried about, or I'm talking about a political issue, which people were worried about, or something else. You got all these people out there like, everything I do still gets demonetized like it's 2017. I don't believe that. I want to see how these people are using the self-certifications, because I've been surprised how... And the thing you can do with self-certification is you can plan your content, because you can actually put bogus answers in there and see at what level of, say, talking about firearms or talking about modern acts of terror or whatever, you're going to get demonetized. And you can plan what you're doing around that to not cross that boundary. So it's cool how the self-certification has actually made demonetization less of a pain to deal with. Self-certification is probably one of the best things that YouTube has done since rolling out demonetization. YouTube, you deserve credit for your progress.
So this is the type of language that we're trying to use to indicate stuff that is definitely not okay to run ads. But as ever, we can always do better with the way in which we're communicating it. So let's break it down into its component parts. Discussion of modern acts of terror. What we're talking about here is stuff like 9/11, for example, and definitely any modern acts of terror that happened after that time. When it comes to stuff that's older than that time, it's really about the context in which you present it. So let's not even go 100 years in the past. Let's go to Tiananmen Square. If you're providing footage of that, which we would definitely consider non-monetizable if it were to happen tomorrow, if you're showing some of that footage of a man standing in front of a tank and discussing the context in which that extremely historic event happened, then that is something that can monetize. Now, what's important when you're thinking about this 100 years ago vector is what other advertiser-friendly guidelines might you be in violation of. So, if we're looking at a terrorist attack that happened 100 years ago, more than likely going to be monetizable if it's in a documentary or historical context, you're presenting it in a really dispassionate way that's really objective and informative. However, if you're including footage that is really violent, you really need to take a look at those violence guidelines within the advertiser-friendly guidelines and the options within self-certification.
That's absolutely correct, by the way. So you may bark up one tree but screw up another. So if that's even a figure of speech. So yeah, you may be focused on one thing but something else isn't right. And there are guidelines for violence independently of that other stuff as well. Video game violence actually has its own thing that you can check off during self-certification. So it's the sort of thing that makes sense, while also understanding that advertisers are incredibly fickle. Sometimes the dumbest little thing, and ask any YouTubers or Twitch streamers that have ever lost sponsors for something stupid, sometimes the dumbest little thing will be the reason why a company decides to stop doing business with you. Now multiply that by companies decide to stop doing business with all of YouTube. Imagine a world, if you will, where one creator's dumb mistake is the reason why your advertising revenue share drops, because a company that advertised on your videos with no issue had an issue with somebody else and left YouTube entirely. That's why, as annoying as it's been, the yellow $ demonetization exists for a reason. And the world since the adpocalypse has changed a lot with regards to how this system plays out. Self-certification is probably one of the best things that YouTube has ever rolled out, because it returns control to the creator instead of cross your fingers that the computers don't mess up your video, which is something that too many automated systems tends to cause.
We've given you a good snapshot. 411 now. Please follow up with another comment if that wasn't clear, but we hope it is. Next week's trivia winner is going to be the next person that asks a question about anything that we brought up here today, or anything that they've just wondered about on YouTube. We're going to get you those answers. Thanks so much. Tune in next time.
Aha! Faded out at exactly the right time, instead of showing all those recommended videos and stuff like that. So, at the center of all of this is a YouTube competitor to Twitch Prime, but also some other features that are in the test phase, but that's YouTube for you. They tend to work on stuff, sometimes a little too much, and things get too experimental. So it's good that they're testing some of these more experimental features. So there's going to be 2 videos made out of this stream that go over to YouTube. One of them is going to be this. We'll just add this to the stream things and stuff. We're also going to make a highlight of just the reactions to the discussion with regards to the Creator Insider video, and that'll go something, it'll be under stuff from streams, and we'll also at Creator Insider on Twitter to send that over to them in case anybody there is curious about, well, creators' reactions to these ideas. So this is the sort of special event react stuff that at some point will become the minority of what's on this Twitch channel. So gaming is something I want to get into. It is Twitch's bread and butter. It is exactly the sort of thing that has built the platform into what it is. And I think there's been too much of a diversion away from it. So I actually have some ideas for some retro games that I could play that are in categories that don't have everybody playing them, that could bring some life to this platform where it seems like everybody's playing Among Us and barely anybody's playing anything else. Social medias, youtube.com/multimediajay, twitter.com/multimediajay, twitch.tv/multimediajay, multimediajay.wordpress.com, and multimediajaytv on Instagram. Perfect time at night to get some final chores done and maybe play some games late at night. What platform? Who knows? World of Warcraft Shadowlands' release is coming out. It's also stuff I could be doing in ESO, or I could actually hook up the Elgato box and play some retro stuff. We shall see. Till next time, this is Multimedia Jay signing off. Thanks for stopping by.